Welcome to Scrunchy Time. I'm Nicole Hegstead, your fertility advocate. After 6 years of infertility and 3 miscarriages, I decided that I needed to become the advocate for my own body. If you're exhausted from struggling to get pregnant and want to know more about how I can help, check out my website at www.nicolehegstead.com.
And I'm Bridget May, your children's health expert. My son was born with a heart condition that led to 3 open heart surgeries, cath labs, a tracheostomy, and a ventilator. After being fed up with mixed opinions, I became my children's own advocate. If your child's health is lacking, then check out my website at www.bridgetmay.com to find out more how I can help. Put your hair up and pay attention while we discuss today's hottest topics concerning female hormones and healthy kiddos.
We aren't silky.
We aren't crunchy. We're scrunchy.
And welcome back to Scrunchy Time. So this week we're going to be doing our second episode on fad diets and dieting mindset and all of that. We ran out of time last time and just decided, well, we're just going to keep talking about this because we really like the subject and we really like yelling at people about their diets, and it's just so much fun. So we're just going to keep going. Like, I don't know, maybe we'll do a third episode. If we just run out of time again, we'll just keep yelling at all of you. So anyway, okay.
If you didn't catch that, there's more than enough reasons not to do a fad diet.
So many reasons we have to make multiple episodes. Okay, so I'm going to start off with the veganism and vegetarianism thing. So obviously when we talk about diet mindset, we're mostly talking about doing it for weight loss and things like that. There are certain people who actually thrive better on a vegetarian or vegan diet. Usually that has to do with your blood type and stuff like that. There's a lot of factors that go into that.
But chemicals in our meat today.
Exactly.
That kind of thing.
There's antibiotics. There's all kinds of stuff. Even our animals are genetically modified now to grow faster, bigger, to produce more meat. They say that if a human baby grew at the same rate that a genetically modified chicken grows today, the child would weigh 600 pounds by the time she was 2.
Oh my gosh.
In comparison, yes. Yeah. So it's truly horrible what we're doing to our animals. And that's where I was going with this. Lots of people are vegetarian or vegan because of what we're doing to our animals. And that I completely agree with. I completely agree 100%. I have a goal. I have not met this goal yet, so I don't want to be a hypocrite by standing here and saying I don't do this, but I have a goal to no longer spend money supporting companies that sell genetically modified meat or raise or any of that. I don't want any of my money to go to support that. Like I said, I still eat at restaurants and they buy stuff. So eventually, hopefully I'll be able to have the discipline to put my walk where my talk is in that area. But that is my current goal. I'm working there. We also get a lot of our meat, just my husband and I are in a specific situation where we get a lot of our meat for free right now. And so part of that, it's not fresh on my mind all the time because it's like, oh, I'm not buying this at the store, but it's still there. So still putting antibiotics into my body, still putting GMOs into my body, and that's not a good thing. But we need to be supporting companies that are raising our animals correctly and being humane to our animals, and even butchering our animals humanely. There's a lot of horrible things going on in the butchering process as well that are just not okay. And I am 100% one of those people that believes it's okay to eat an animal. I believe God gave us animals to eat. I'm not going to stand here and be like, oh no, we shouldn't be eating them because they have a soul and they have feelings and all that. But we need to be treating them correctly while they're alive, and we need to be put in a humane way. God did give us dominion over the earth, and for us to be doing the things we're doing is not okay. There's nothing okay about it. So that's the issue there. There are also a lot of places you can get good proteins that are vegetarian sources. So things like quinoa, your beans, all of your beans have really good protein. There are issues with complete proteins and blending all of those together, which a lot of vegetarians focus on, but I've also heard that that's not as big of a concern as people make it out to be. Like a lot of meat eaters, the first thing they say is, well, where are you going to get your complete protein? And it's like, you know, like you have a gluten problem. Like, it's like, I just kind of look at it sometimes and it's like, okay, we're arguing about complete proteins and yet people are dying from gluten issues. So there's a lot of things that are more important sometimes when you look at that. And I think we shouldn't be eating meat as much as what we're eating. I mean, we eat meat
Exactly.
in America 3 times a day. We don't consider it a meal unless there's meat on our plate. And that's just not true. Like, it's just
Right.
not true at all. So,
well, and even to take that a step further with what meat has versus plants too, there's a lot that plants have more of than meat does, like in a better way.
yeah.
And so like iron is one of them. Like you can get more iron from spinach than you will any amount of liver you eat. There's just no way around that. And so, but the way we're educated, that doesn't happen. And so there's just a lot of false information out there about how good meat is for you. And again, I'm not one of those either, like don't eat meat. I'm a hunter, all the things, but it's not the end all be all. And like you said, meals 3 times a day is excessive. It's truly excessive.
Yeah.
We've never done that. No other culture or society does that.
Right.
So, and the same meat, we've kind of talked about this too, is we eat beef, pork, and chicken. Where's the complete variety there? Like, you know, we need to be eating everything. We need to be eating squirrel. We need to be eating, you know, duck. We need to be eating turkey. We need to be eating all these different things to get whatever it has to offer us.
Yeah. I love that squirrel was the first one that popped into your head.
Whatever, you know.
You're not even
like,
from the South and you're just like, squirrel. That was awesome.
Rabbits and rattlesnakes. There we go. There's more Midwest style.
No, seriously, just the other day, I was actually giving my husband a lecture about this the other day. My husband gets a lot of health lectures from me, and I'll pass it on to the rest of the world. Thank you for letting us know. But I listed like 8 just off the top of my head. You know, like Cornish hen was one you didn't mention. That's another big one. Lamb and sheep.
Lamb is a big one, which is really cool because in the Bible, that's one they ate a lot.
Yes.
Like it's a very
big in the Mediterranean.
One.
Yes.
Yeah, and yet we completely disregard that.
Yes.
Like,
yeah. Well, and deer. I mean, that's another one. And
goat is another one that could be very accessible to us.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. And the biggest reason that this is a big issue to me is we are genetically modifying our chickens and our beef and our pork because we cannot produce enough to feed the world. And the problem is we're eating the same 3 animals 3 times a day. And so of course we can't grow enough. Of course we can't raise them quickly enough. And that has nothing to do with the world's population. That has to do with our eating habits. That has to do with, they really like to go into like, so therefore we should stop having children because we cannot produce enough food to feed all of these kids. That's not the issue. The issue is the way that we're eating the food that we're eating, the way we're growing the food that we're growing, all of that kind of stuff with the meat.
Yep, it extends into small business, and not to get political or anything like that, but like then we can't have small farmers. We can't have, you know, mom and pop shops, like all the things. Of course we're going to have, like you said, the genetically modified, but then we can't even have the control of having what chemicals, what food those animals are eating. Like the control just leaves as soon as we give it all up to these bigger companies.
Absolutely 100%. Excuse me. I agree. Yeah. So we should probably jump into paleo and keto next, because those kind of jump right off of the whole vegetarian topic, and I know you're a lot more brushed up on that than I am, so I'm gonna let you take over for that one.
Yeah, so I'm actually not on top of it as I have been in the past. I will admit, you know, mom brain over here. When I study something, I know it in and out, but you know, it's been a while. So, but paleo and keto make me really mad, like really, really mad. Like of all the diets, I'm just like, what is wrong with you people? Neither one of them make any sense at all. Honestly, and honestly, yet they're also the best. Like it's really a hard place to be. And when someone tells me they're doing paleo or keto, I'm just like, Because I'm just like, I'm glad you're doing it. I'm so much happier doing that versus juicing or, like, I don't even know, like whatever. But like, it's still got so many issues. It's like right there. It's like, okay, well, we've almost got it. But
Mhm.
like, yeah, I mean, there's just so many issues. I think we kind of agreed to just stick with like the mindset concept here because like with with keto, there's so many, again, like just restrictions and mind restrictions, and like it's a diet and you can't do this and you can't do that, and really hampers you. And like in order to keep yourself in that state of ketosis, you're starving yourself. Like after a while, that's not going to work anymore. Like, yeah, you're going to lose a lot of weight up front, but after a while, that's really could backfire on you to keep your body in that feast or famine state. A lot of people only eat once a day on the keto diet.
Yeah.
Um, it's not good. And then like if they have a cheat day or whatever, they have to get themselves back into ketosis, so they'll fast for 48 hours. And I think fasting has a time and a place. I do think it's good for our bodies. I think our bodies naturally do it though. Even while pregnant and nursing and eating everything I eat, my body will naturally do a fast every now and then. Like I'll back off. I think it's something to look into and implement more, but it's not something to force your body to do. And not only all the, like, you have a mouth, you have a gut, you need to eat. Like, God gave us food for a reason. Like, God didn't say, here's some food, now you don't eat this.
Mhm.
Like, if you're hungry, eat. Like, you're totally depriving your body of all this nutrient, like daily deprivation of nutrients, and it's not a good thing. So there's a lot of issues with that. Again, though, like there's a lot of good things with it. Like it does get people to realize a little bit more about processed food. Like it really puts you on a meat and cheese diet. It's really gotten people to realize that there are good fats out there and that fat doesn't make you fat.
Yeah.
So there are some great concepts that come with it. It's just not the whole picture, and it's not long lasting. It's not going to last forever. Um, um, Honestly, and with the fasting thing too, so much like that, what's going to end up happening with the losing of weight, your body's going to end up not losing the weight, and you're going to hold on to it because your body's like, well, I don't know when I'm going to eat next.
Mm.
So, so that's what's going to happen there. And then paleo, if I were to agree with any diet, would be the very closest. Like paleo would be right there because it is mostly a vegetarian diet. Not that I'm against meat, but because of, like we said, the meat, the hormones and everything that's in meat, it's really hard to find good meat. But it has its own issues. Like it has so many rules about like eating certain nuts and eating certain vegetables and certain this and certain that, which can be great guidelines to follow if you're trying to correct and heal your gut if something is agitating you and you don't know what it is. But not long term. Like long term, this is not a good thing. You cannot cut out potatoes long term, especially if you are German. Like if you have any heritage at all in that area, it's not going to work for you.
Mhm.
Your body needs those things. Like our genetics, that is one way our genetics play a huge role in that. Comfort food, all those things. Our body knows how to use that the best because
Yeah.
we've ate it for hundreds of years.
And I want to say something too, real quick about comfort food. Like a lot of people talk about comfort food like it's like a guilty pleasure, like it's something
Mhm.
bad, and we should feel bad about when we consume it. And it's not at all. Like comfort food usually comes from, like you said, genetics. Usually, it's what your mom made, and they've proven that um, different cultures, different people of different genetic makeups can handle foods that other people can't handle because
Yep.
for centuries they've been eating the same kinds of foods. And so there's a lot of times where with my clients I'll say, now wait, like why do you think that that's bad to eat, and I had a Hispanic client who was nervous about eating a lot of rice, and I was like, honey, you're Hispanic. Like, no, like, do you have allergies? I went through a whole list of questions with her, it was like, if you're just not wanting to eat this because the news, like some news broadcaster said to stop eating rice, no, that's not why we stop eating foods, you know? And
Yep.
so we need to be careful of that, because a lot of times it's easy to grow up and say, oh, well, I'm overweight, and so therefore everything I've ever eaten was bad, and like I'm gonna go jump on whatever diet. Again, the Mediterranean diet was a big one for a while. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and that's great. They eat very well, very lots of vegetables, it's very similar to a paleo diet.
Yep.
But I'm not Mediterranean. That's only so sustainable to my body, because my body
Yep.
is Northern European. I am German, Scotch, Irish, like all of those northern, everything up there. Potatoes are in my family, like you said.
Yep.
They're a big deal. I actually crave potatoes sometimes. I don't eat them
Oh
often,
yeah.
but there are times where I crave them. So yeah, no, I agree with you 100%. So anyway, I just wanted to throw that in there about the comfort food, like
Yeah.
as a clarification, that don't look at that and say, oh, you know, that's comfort food, so that's bad. Like we need to be looking at that and saying, okay, when can I implement that even as self-care into my diet?
Exactly. Well, no, actually, I mean, that's a good thing. I was talking to somebody the other day about just going to the coffee shop, and how much of a comfort that is. And honestly, it wouldn't matter what you ordered. It's the ambiance of going to the coffee shop. It really is. I mean, granted, yes, coffee is amazing, smell is amazing. Like I get it. But it is the self-care. And when we live in the stressed out world we do, it's just a comfort to walk in there and be like, some parts of this world are good. Like
Yes.
that's what that is. And it is the same with our food. When we deny ourselves the one thing we have control over, the one thing we know is good, that's what is that doing to your stress levels? Like we have to have that, especially in the home, especially as women who, traditionally provide that for our family. We're
Mhm.
supposed to provide the safe comfort space. And if we're like, nope, and we throw all that out the window, like what is that doing psychologically to not us, but also our children? Like,
Absolutely.
no, that's not good. It's not good at all. So, but yeah, super rabbit trail there. But yeah, there is a time, and even bad comfort food in a processed way has its time and place. Absolutely. I agree with that.
I agree 100%.
So, because we were raised on that.
Mm-hmm.
And that is, I mean, we can, and I have, fingers crossed, really kept that from my children. But we cannot deny ourselves that when we've been raised on that, like that in certain instances. Like it's just or it's going to take 10 to 20 years to get it out of us. Like that's the thing. Like I was talking to a gal the other day about cutting out pop and or soda or whatever. And that she was just she falls back into it every time. She'll get off and fall back in. I did the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're going to, like, even I was almost a year to the day off pop, and I was at my mom and dad's, and it was like, oh, pop at mom and dad's, like this is so good. And I opened one, and I took a drink, and immediately it was like disgusting. Whose idea was this? Like bad idea. But like it's that comfort.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like anyway, there's tons of connections that go on there with all that.
As you know, I went back on gluten over the summer, and you
Mm-hmm.
can probably see the inflammation on my face, since spring. I know I can. But my body handled, like I dealt with some things over the spring, and it just came to the point where my body was like, you know what, Nicole, you need to grieve through this stuff and you go eat whatever you want to eat. And so I proceeded to have a cup of coffee, as in not like a black cup of coffee that I brewed at home, but like a caramel mocha every day. And I ate as much gluten as I wanted. I mean, all the blueberry muffins and the lemon poppy seed muffins at the coffee shop. It was awesome. And my body handled it remarkably well until I came out of that grieving process. And then all of a sudden, I started having a ton of digestion issues. And it was like, my body was like, okay, Nicole, now
We're
it's
done.
time to get back on track. And so I firmly believe that our bodies are more than capable of saying, you're really stressed right now. You need to eat something that's going to calm you down, and I will handle it. You just go get your emotions in line. So yeah, I totally agree with that. I totally agree. from first-hand experience, just from this summer. That was a fun experience.
Well, absolutely. And that's why we always have to do the best we can, is to store up for those times.
Absolutely.
Like that's the thing, is like you can't hit rock bottom when you're already at rock bottom.
Right.
Like that doesn't work.
Yep.
There's no there's nowhere to, like, where is there to go after that? Like, let's think about that. And that's what happens. And that's what our society is. People who do that daily and never get out of it. That's why we have cancer rates and death rates and children's death and everything, is because we're not getting ourselves out of that. Absolutely. And using it for the proper time. Like, that's the balance. When people say balance, that's what I think of, is like that one summer, that was hell, or whatever. But really what we're using as this balance, because that's kind of become a fad diet now too, honestly, is like, oh, it's all about balance. And it's like, balance isn't still drinking a Dr. Pepper a day. I'm sorry. No. That's still an addiction. It's a mild addiction, but it's still an addiction. So yeah, absolutely.
Well, I was actually speaking to someone who was telling me that her husband has arthritis, and I mentioned to her, well, a really good way to manage arthritis is through controlling your sugar intake. And she said, oh no, he doesn't eat any sugar ever. And I was like, okay, because a lot of that's not true of me, and I'm aware of where sugar is. I was at a family get together once, and I told them I wasn't going to drink any alcohol because I was limiting my sugar intake, and they said, there's sugar in alcohol? And I was like, oh, wow, yes, there is. But she said, this guy proceeded to tell me, no, that her husband only drinks 2 sodas a day. And I was like, oh, honey, it was an inappropriate point for me to correct her. It wasn't a relationship where I could say, as a health coach, okay, no, you're wrong. But but yeah, I was just inside, I was like, oh no, that is a lot of sugar for arthritis. So yeah.
Well, that's just it. And it isn't everything too. It's like, I watch recipes every now. Tasties will come up in my feed, and you can't not watch those videos. How satisfying are those videos? But you gotta watch them, and everything, salad dressings, everything, 2 to 3 tablespoons of sugar, all these things that are even considered the good food.
Do you know? There's 12 either teaspoons or tablespoons of sugar in a can of soda. Do you know why there is not more? Because
the liquid won't absorb it.
It will separate by the time it gets to the shelf.
Wow.
Yeah. If they could keep it in stasis, whatever they call it, they would add more sugar. Yeah.
Oh, of course they would, because that's what keeps our addiction going, is you always need more and more and more and more. Sugar is the biggest drug. I honestly believe it can be one of the worst drugs.
Totally.
Over cocaine and marijuana and everything. It is, and they've tested lab rats on that. So it definitely is a worse drug for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. I had a naturopath once that said it's white like cocaine, but it does way worse. So yeah, I totally agree.
Yep.
And it's an acceptable drug, and that's the biggest problem. We look at coke addicts and say, you have a drug problem. We don't look at someone who has to drink a soda a day and say, you have a drug problem.
Yep.
And there's lots of people out there.
Oh, well, every child is that way.
Yep.
Yeah.
If you drink, the statistics say that if you drink a diet soda a day, and there are so many people that do that.
And diet soda is worse than regular soda.
Totally. Yep. Your chances of leukemia alone go up by 40%.
Wow.
Yeah. It's huge. It's a horrible drug. Yeah. Okay, so we were also going to mention really fad diets. These are probably more from the 90s than they are from now, because this is what I remember my parents doing when I grew up. The Slim Fast stuff, but it's still on the shelves, so somebody's buying it.
Yeah.
I didn't even research what's in that. I can guarantee you it's probably not good. So again,
just the name alone, another thing is we should not be losing weight quickly. Right. It's not gonna happen that way. There is no magic pill.
And the idea of a drinking something that comes in a can as your meal, like that just,
Yeah.
that just does not sound okay to me. Yeah,
Exactly.
no.
Yeah.
One that my dad did was the Subway diet. It was surprisingly very effective for him, but he was essentially starving himself
Hmm.
the entire time. I think he lost like 100 pounds on the Subway diet.
Oh, wow.
And basically what you do is you eat a 6-inch sub for breakfast, and then you have one for lunch, and then you do not eat at dinner.
Mm.
You can also have a bag of chips with them. But
Oh, wow.
essentially it's calorie counting is what it is.
Hmm.
Um,
Oh, don't get me started on that. I didn't even think of that one.
we talked about that
Whoa.
last
Oh,
time.
that's right.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
But essentially all that it is calorie counting, because the way that my dad, it was back when Jared did the whole Subway diet thing, and he lost all that
Mm.
weight, which is amazing for Jared. I wonder how he kept it off, because my dad could not keep it off, and his excuse was, I don't own a Subway. So there's that. But my dad was watching, we were eating at Subway, and saw the advertisement, and they print the calories on their napkins, and so he started adding up the calories, and he realized, oh yeah, that would work, and proceeded to do this diet. And the biggest problem for me when I look at the Subway diet is you're still eating all of that bread. Like
Mhm.
50% of your diet is going to be gluten. And I personally am of the belief, I don't force gluten free on everyone, but I personally believe that because wheat is genetically modified, which is why gluten is a problem. Everyone is allergic to it. I believe it
Yeah.
actually affects all of us, some really small and some really big. But I can't imagine doing that to your digestion like daily as a diet. Like that just is a lot. And then,
Well, especially now. Like, I mean, we've kind of talked about that too, but like the bread then and the bread now are different too. Like, not just for the gluten, like the added sugar. Like, how much sugar have they upped up putting in there? The added chemicals, the added preservatives, like all the things that they do worse now.
we talked about this specifically last time before when we were prepping for these episodes. Like, I
Mm.
remember I used to eat a Subway sandwich and I was like, oh, that was good. Like lots of
Mhm.
vegetables, lots of, like, I feel sustained. And now I eat a Subway sandwich and I'm like, I feel like I just ate McDonald's. Like it literally
Mhm.
makes my body feel yucky, just like
Yep.
McDonald's makes my body feel yucky. So
Mhm.
yeah, I agree. I don't know what they're doing at Subway, but and nothing to diss on. I mean, all the
And
fast
that would be a continuation of that though too, is now the vegetables and stuff too, and all the
right.
junk that is on them. That wouldn't have been there in the 90s, like not as extreme.
Not as extreme. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. The other problem with the Subway diet is, again, you're getting limited amounts of vegetables versus so you got
Mhm.
50% of it's going to be your bread, and then 50% of what's left, so 25% is going to be meat or cheese
Yep.
and cheese. Um, and then like you've got, a piddly amount of vegetables on there. I even, when I do get Subway, I'll ask them for spinach, and I'll even ask them for more spinach. Um,
Mhm.
and they always kind of look at me like, we're not supposed to give out the spinach in this amount. And it's like, well, I'm sorry, that's what I want. Like,
Mhm.
I realize spinach is expensive. It's the most nutritionally balanced thing in this case, so I want more of that, please.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm.
It's yeah. So anyway, again, problems there are going to be your calorie counting and your starvation mode and all of that.
Mhm.
Healthy choices kind of just piggybacks that. Healthy choices, anything that's going to be like a TV dinner kind of thing. I do enjoy Amy's organic dinners because they're easy, not because I'm counting calories. And that's what's really important to remember why you're doing something. If you get to
Mhm.
the end of eating a TV microwavable dinner and you're still hungry, go eat more fruits and vegetables.
Yep.
So don't limit yourself to those. But sometimes Amy's dinners are really nice for like packing for lunch, for work, things like that. But I don't ever use them as a diet. That's what's important, is to stay away
Yep.
from diet mentality. And then
Mhm.
obviously like your healthy choices, your lean cuisine. I can't even think of all the rest of them. Like they're going to be highly processed, full of
Mhm.
chemicals, and then we're microwaving them. So any nutritional enzymes.
In plastic.
Yep, exactly. Microwaving them in plastic, which Amy's comes in like a paper. It's a coated paper,
Mm.
so there's going to be BPA's in there. But yeah, So you've got your problems there, like, with all of that. So weigh your options. Um, and then juicing. Juicing is a big one. Like, all healthy people juice.
A millennials juice. It's a big thing with millennials.
It's a big thing with millennials. And the biggest problem with juicing is that you're removing fiber. Now, when we say you can eat all of the strawberries that you want and all of the blueberries that you want, it's because the sugar that is in those fruits comes with fiber. And when those fruits and vegetables hit your digestion, it has to slow down to process that fiber. And so your digestion slows way down, and then the sugars get released into your bloodstream very slowly because it takes a long time for your digestion to digest that. When you drink something that's been juiced, it's just like eating a candy bar because there is nothing left in that to slow down your digestion. And so it hits your bloodstream the same way that a soda would, the same way that a candy bar would. And the biggest problem with that for my clients is when you cause a spike in your blood sugar like that, first of all, when you crash, you're going to reach for the next thing, which would be a candy bar, coffee, pop. So now you're craving that again. Or if you're really on top of juicing, you'll juice again, and then you'll get another blood sugar strike, just like if you had anything else. And the problem with that yo-yo effect in the blood sugar is you can actually literally throw your hormones out of balance. It creates a cortisol reaction. And so a lot of women actually have infertility because of blood sugar issues. And so the last thing you want to do if you have this issue is juice. Like, it's the last thing. And a lot of people turn to it like a healing thing because, well, we can get so many fruits and vegetables into our body. That's fine. Make a smoothie, blend it, drink it that way. There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all. But to remove the fiber completely from something, you're breaking it down from a complex carb into a simple carb. And we talked about that in 2 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago. So if you missed that episode, go back and listen to the part 1 of this, because we talked about the importance between a complex carb and a simple carb. And if you do that, then you might as well just eat a candy bar for lunch. Literally. Like, there's no difference at all. So.
Yep. Yeah, well, it's like the egg concept too. The 90s will relate with this. Like, we used to separate egg whites and yolks all the time because there was good and bad cholesterol. And now we know that God is amazing and has created it that those two balance each other out. And so we have to eat them together. Imagine they're in the same egg and we should be eating them together, like it's the same concept. Like, God didn't give us a strawberry to tell us to go juice it, like
Absolutely.
no.
Absolutely.
And you mentioned making a smoothie. The first thing that came to my mind too with that is like, and guess what? You're fuller. Like, you're not hungry. You're not starving. What does that tell you? That tells you you've nourished your body.
Yes.
And that's the first thing I hear about the juicing diet is I'm hungry all the time. I'm hungry.
Yep. So, well, it's the same as those naked juices. Those are juices. And I know when I drink those naked juices, I get hungry way too fast. For how many vegetables are in there, I should not be hungry as fast as what I am. Exactly. And they kind of make my tummy feel yucky, which I don't like. So I stay away from those. But yeah, so the biggest things that we want you to take away from all of this is avoiding a mindset diet, which is going to revolve around trying to eat specifically to lose weight, that are to be healthy and to give your body nutrition. And if you do that, you'll naturally lose weight. And then the next thing is bio-individuality. What works for someone may not work for you. And so you need to listen to your body and see what your body needs. And so if you're craving a potato, eat a potato. If you're craving rice, eat rice. The closer that the product is to what God created, the better it's going to be for you. So a whole carrot versus mashed carrots versus that doesn't work. I was going to do the potatoes. A whole potato versus mashed potatoes versus French fries, right? Like, it's all the same thing, but it's way healthier in its whole potato state. So try and stick to whole foods and think through, did God create this, or did man create it, or did man alter it? If man was involved in any of the production other than picking it and handing it to you, then there's a problem with it. So I think that's the biggest stuff we wanted to hit. Did I miss anything?
Yeah. No, I think that's it. Just like, yeah, I think you hit it all. Sorry, my babies are waking up.
Thank you for joining us today, and you guys have a wonderful day. We will see you in a couple weeks. Bye.
All right, bye.
Thanks for joining us on today's podcast.
If you'd like to know more about our programs or watch the podcast in video form, you can visit our websites,
where we also share links and resources concerning the different topics that we have discussed.
Check me out at www.nicolehegsted.com.
And check me out at www.bridgetmay.com. See you next time.